Behind me today is the 2018 Mercedes-Benz A200. Now this model's just been recently facelifted, so this isn't the most recent model. I actually do have the most recent model, the new one with me today actually. Here it is here, for those that want to look at it. Yeah, it's not the full scale model, but you kind of get the idea, right? Anyway, back to the review today. So in my review, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you around the exterior of the car. We'll have a good look at the exterior of the car. We'll then hop in the car and then I'll take you around the interior. We'll go and have a look in the back and then have a look at the legroom it has in the back. And then finally, we'll jump in the car. We'll take the car for a drive and I'll tell you what it's like on the road. Now, if you do like my videos, please feel free to subscribe by pressing the subscribe button below. I'm also really keen to hear your comments as well. So if you can comment about the video, what you think, things that you like, things that you don't like, things that you'd like to see more, maybe more of the outside of the car when it's driving or something like that. I'm really interested to get your suggestions on that. Anyway, let's go have a look at this car. So taking a look at the Mercedes here, I really still don't mind the look of it. Yeah, it's going to start to look a bit outdated with this new facelifted model that's come out, but I still think it still looks sporty and still does stand out a bit on the road. Now, taking a look at the wheels on this does have 18-inch wheels. These tyres are 40 profile and they are 225 wide. And you can see the front brakes there. It's actually got cross-drilled front brakes there, which helps make it look a bit more sporty. Taking around, and you can see there's some nice lines on the car. Gives it a bit more of a shape here. And then looking at the back of the car here, you can see it's got those dual exhausts, the trapezoid sort of style exhaust there, and it's got a bit of a rear diffuser, but it is a fake rear diffuser down the bottom there. And then if we're going to take you for another look around the side here, and I do like those wheels on it. I think they do look really sporty and help with the look of the car. And then around the front of the car, you see it's got a bit of an arrow look, that bumper bar here. You've got the big Mercedes badge standing out there, and then you've also got this nice little chrome dotted around the grille here. So just to make it look nice and fancy and showy there, I think. And then we'll take you back again for one look around the side here. And that's a Mercedes from the outside. What we'll do is we'll jump in the Mercedes and we'll take a look at the inside. As we hop into the Mercedes, I'll show you it's got these nice Mercedes-Benz side plates here that will light up at night for you with the Mercedes-Benz, which is like not a bad touch there. And you've got your nice AMG Mercedes car mats, except this isn't an AMG. So inside the Mercedes now, and this has just got the standard gauges here. So on your left you've got the speedo and then the fuel, and then on the right you've got your tacho and temperature. In the middle there it's got the DIS. There's a few different options in that DIS display there. You've got your trip computer, which will just show you obviously your trip and then the amount of kilometers on the car. You've got the navigation, you've got the audio settings there, you've got some telephone settings there, and then you've just got some assistant settings there, your service interval, and then your tire pressure monitor, and then just further instrument cluster settings there. So looking around the cabin here, and you've got this nice leather and suede seats here with a nice little sporty pattern through there, and you've got the nice red stitching there on the side, nice touch, and then also the red stitching here on the armrests, and a bit of suede, different material there as well. Looking at the dashboard here, you've got a bit of a carbon two-tone look here. So you've got the plastic, doesn't feel too bad there, and then the carbon. Then coming over here to the infotainment system, this has got an 8-inch infotainment system. I think it's starting to look a bit outdated because it has been in these Mercedes since around 2013. So just a quick look at what's in the infotainment system. So you've got your navigation here, so you can go into your navigation, put your destination, things like that. It's radio, it does have a digital radio in there. This is the media section here, so you can plug in your phone, listen to your phone or other different media devices. Your telephone options, this will work with either an Android device or an iOS device, so you can have Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. Then your vehicle settings, you can put in the dynamic mode, different consumption settings here, owner's manual, time, and back to the vehicle settings there. And then down below you've just got your system settings, your time, and then you can turn the display off. So the sporty vents here, I think they look pretty sporty on it. Coming further down, you've got your buttons for your entertainment system, and you can also use some of these buttons here to access the infotainment system. And then you've got your hazard lights, you've got your dynamic select button there, and you can also see your auto on and off button for the start and stop system, and then that's your parking brake there. Back down here is the climate control settings. No digital climate control, so it's actually analog, so you can see it tells you the temperature there, so it doesn't have any digital, so that's a bit strange why they just didn't go with the digital looking climate control. And then we've got a bunch of storage spaces here, and then we've also got some more storage just down there in your 12-volt socket there. This has 2 cup holders in it for your cups, and this is where you can control the infotainment system from this little knob here. Center console glove box here has 2 USB ports for charging your phone or for connecting a media device, and no wireless charging in this model. Now back around to the steering wheel. So looking at the steering wheel, I think it's a good size. It's nice and small. It's got a bit of a flat bottom steering wheel here. You've got most of your buttons here. It takes a few seconds to figure some of them out as they're not really named. It's not too obvious what they do, but these buttons here are for your DIS system with changing through the different menus. So this pretty much all controls the DIS system here. Behind there, you've just got your wipers, and then just below there, you have your cruise control here. On the right hand side, you can answer your phone there. You've got your volume buttons, mute, speech recognition, and hang up the phone there. And then you've got the gear stick lever here. A bit more about that when we go driving, because I'm not a big fan of having that right there. And then this is start and stop. So you've got your start and stop button here. So keyless. And then just to the right of that, you've got your headlight controls here with the fog lights button just here. And then we've got the power windows and power mirror or here. This one doesn't have any electric seats, so all the lumbar supports are by your regular manual handles, just here. So in the back of the Mercedes now, and there's an okay amount of room. We know it's a small hatchback. I've got a good amount of headroom here. It does curve around here. It takes a bit of the vision away on the side here. And then the leg room here is pretty good as well for a small car. I'll take you around inside the cabin now. Taking a look in the back seats here, you've again got these 2-tone seats with the red stitching here. So I think 3 adults abreast in this cabin would be a bit of a squash. The drivetrain does come up a bit, so you're going to have to, you can see my feet there. I've got quite big feet, but you can see you get quite squashed if you're in the middle there. Child seat in here, this does have ISO fits to fit that child seat, and then you can see that the room in the middle seat with the child seat there. You can control the interior lights from the top here, and what is also actually good is the rear window actually goes all the way down in this. It's a bit rare actually, because some of them, the windows only go about this height here, so at least you get the full window going right down in the rear there, which is not bad. And then you've got the center armrest here, which also has some cup holders hidden in here. There's a cup holders there, and then some cup holders there to put your cups in there if you want. No rear air conditioning ducts in that. This a bit of storage there, and you've got another 12-volt socket down there if you need it as well. Storage compartments in both of the rear seats here if you want to store anything. And that is the back, so we'll take you around and show you the boot space. So checking out the boot space here of the A200. It's not the biggest boot here, but you've got a reasonable amount of room. It has 341 litres of space. You've got a few different features in here. You've got the 12-volt socket, which you can see here. You've got some storage there. You've got your hooks there for a baby seat, child seat. And then you've just got a bit of a puncture kit in here. So you've got some more storage down there if you want, but no spare tyre in here. So you're just going to have to use the puncture kit, unfortunately, if you get stuck here. These seats, they fold down 60-40 to give you a bit more room if you need it and you don't have any passengers in the rear. Manual close, no automatic close. Alright, well, we'll take this car for a drive and I'll tell you what it's like to drive. So in the car driving it now, and it's reasonably easy to find your way around the cabin and everything in here. There's things that are a bit tricky, like the parking brake, which is here, that you have to turn on or off. And then obviously your gear selection's not normally there, it's up here, and I'll talk more about that later. In terms of visually looking around the car, there are a few noticeable blind spots, and in certain situations I think you would struggle to see. Now in the B pillar just here that divides the front and rear window, this does act as a bit of a blind spot, especially if you're looking here. You can't really see too much out of that. But besides that, that's probably the only big major blind spot I can see. In terms of technology in this car, it's good. This car's got quite a lot of technology in it. Some of these European cars, especially the more lower end European cars, seem to make you want to pay for the additional technology. But in this, you get a reasonable amount. You get your emergency braking, you get your lane assist and blind spot alerts there. You get your front and rear parking sensors, and it's also got active park assist, which means the car will basically park itself for you if you need that sort of help. How does it feel on the road? I think it's reasonably smooth on the road. I thought with the 18-inch wheels and the 40 profile tires, it might feel a bit hard over the bumps, but it actually rides the bumps pretty well. The steering is rated really well. If you put it in dynamic mode, which I've got it in now, it makes the steering a bit heavier, but that does make it feel a bit sporty as well, which I like about it. In terms of fuel economy in this car, Mercedes quotes this as 6.1 litre to 100 kilometres, which I don't think is too bad for this size car. There obviously are cars of this size that will be more economical than this, but this is sort of a more sporty car, so it's tuned a bit more, which means it's going to use a bit more fuel than some of the less tuned, less powerful 4-cylinders out there. The brakes on this car, they're pretty good, so I'll just show you quick braking now. You can see that they just pull up the car quite quick. I don't need to plant my foot down for it to stop quickly, just need to touch it and they'll stop quickly. Stereo system on this, it's okay. It's only a 6-speaker stereo system on this. Obviously you can upgrade to get a better stereo system if you want and if that's important to you. There's a lot of treble in it, not a huge amount of bass, but it's still a lot better than some of the stereo systems that you get in the Asian cars. The cabin noise, there is a bit of cabin noise in the car, but it's not too bad. I don't know if you can pick up, it's still a fairly quiet place to be in. This has got a 7-speed automatic gearbox in it. It is a dual clutch gearbox, but I really don't understand why Mercedes decided to put their gear lever here on the side. I've driven a lot of these A classes and even the C classes that have this, and I just don't get it. I just think it's really tricky. So I've been before trying to change lanes on the highway, and I've gone to thinking that this is a blinker, the gear stick here, and I put myself in neutral. Luckily there was no cars behind me because I was going nowhere, so it can be a bit of a safety problem. I've spoken to a few people that own these cars and they tell me they get used to it and they end up loving it, but as I said, I've driven a lot of the Mercedes with this, and I still just don't like it at all. It might just be me. Obviously, if you drive it constantly, day in, day out, you get used to it, and that's what it is. But I'm still always looking for a gear stick here that there's nothing, and there's nothing down there. Spoke about the infotainment system before on the dials. They're reasonably easy. I spoke about the little dial here that sort of controls it there. I still kind of think that this is starting to look outdated in this. I know they've just upgraded recently in the new A-Class and it looks a lot more slick all the way along here. But it definitely was overdue for a bit of an update there. But still, getting in it, it doesn't look that bad, to be honest. This car, the handling's really good. It sits really flat. It's like driving a little go-kart. So I'll just show you now, we're going around this turn here and you'll just see it just sits so nice and flat there. Doesn't pull in too much. You can see if you push it a bit, it'll start to drag along the road, but the handling, it is quite nice. It really feels like a little go-kart. So the engine in this car is a 1.8 litre engine, similar, exactly the same engine that you get in the A180. It's just been tuned to get more power out of it. So it's got a 115 kilowatt engine and 250 newton meters of torque. So the performance of this car, we'll put in dynamic select that you can see the dynamic select there. This does have the Tiptronic, so I will use the Tiptronic here and we'll just test the acceleration. So I'll just stop here and what we'll do is we'll do the old 1 foot on the brake, 1 foot on the accelerator. So it lets me rev it a tiny bit and then we'll drop it. Takes a bit to get going here. It's alright, it's not too bad. Mercedes says it is about 7.8 seconds to 100, and it kind of feels about that. So the performance not too bad in the car. So what do I think of the car? Look, I was really interested drive the A-Class after not driving it for quite a few years. I've driven a whole bunch of these A-Series, from the A180, the A200 diesel, now this A200, the A250. The only one I haven't really driven is the A45. I thought it's been a while, maybe they're starting to feel a bit old, outdated, but I still enjoy driving it. I think it's still a nice car to drive. Now, firstly, the things I didn't like about the car. Well, my big elephant in the room is this gear stick here. I just don't like it. I'm sorry. I just don't like a Mercedes. I don't know why you do it. I know if you go the A45, it's got a gear stick here, but I just don't like the gear stick where it is. The other thing is the roof line. It kind of bends down here, and the rear passengers often will hit their head when getting into the rear seats there. So I think they should have done a better job with not dipping it down so much in there. So some of the things I liked about the car, so I really like the handling of it. I think it handles really well. I think it feels reasonably smooth on the road. And I do like all the technology that comes standard with it, that you don't have to tick extra boxes just to get some simple technology that you'd expect to get in there. So all in all, I do like this car. I think you should have a look at it. They are getting a bit cheaper now. They've come out with a new model, so the older model like this, the pre-facelifted models, will become a bit cheaper on the second-hand market, so it's definitely worth looking at. And if you did like my video today, please feel free to subscribe by pressing the subscribe button below.